Today I'll be talking to you all about stem cell research. How surprising would it be if I told you that the smallest living organism possible could cure the majority of the most fatal diseases in the world? A stem cell is an undifferentiated cell that can give rise to specialized cells and undergo duplication and make up human tissue and organs. Currently in the United States, there are both medical and researchable needs that exist, and the result of this stem cell research can cause favorable medical research and economical outcomes. To start, I'll be talking about the medical needs. Currently, there's over 100 million Americans that suffer from a disease that may be cured or treated more effectively with the use of stem cells. Some examples of these are type 1 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, Parkinson's disease, and spinal cord injuries. Currently, any organ damage or defect will be treated with the use of a transplant and or continued usage of medication. In terms of research and drug needs, currently drugs are being tested on animals in the United States, and while it does work, it does take a lot of time and money, and it doesn't always guarantee that what happens in an animal will happen in a human due to different physiological functions. There's also no current way to test differences in drug toxicity by sex or by race. The next is the satisfaction. Medical usage, embryonic stem cells can currently differentiate into 200 different types of cells and therefore tissues, so they can pretty much cure any type of disease. They can be used to regenerate tissues and organs, and eventually might be able to replace neurotransmitters as well, and the majority of diseases in the world do those. In terms of research and drug usage, stem cells will allow for testing of drugs on human cells as opposed to animal cells. And I went over that earlier. Stem cells will be able to test for toxicity under varying factors such as race, sex, and multiple drug interactions, something that we are not getting right now. Stem cells will also be able to model a disease, and that's by taking a cell from someone, say with Parkinson's, and you put it in culture and just compare that to a regular nervous system cell. These usage of stem cells can lead to outcomes that are favorable to society. Currently, the medical outcomes that would be by the use of stem cells, it would remove the need for transplants, and that's a big problem in the United States right now. Someone that needs a transplant would need to wait, put on a waiting list, and they could die during that time and or get other complications. It also removes the need for constant medication use. If you just switch, say, a pancreatic cell, it's different than having to stay on insulin for the rest of your life, and that also leads with economic factors that I'll discuss later. It'll also eventually lead to a healthier society and less disease throughout overall. Research and drug outcomes, it's essentially going to allow for more efficient testing of drugs and lead to more safe outcomes. It'll also take less time for the FDA to approve drugs, and it'll also allow us to model disease. The last thing is that most people won't know is that increased stem cell research will allow for favorable economic outcomes. It'll obviously create a lot of jobs in the research field, and that'll put an influx of money into our society. Obviously, it'll send all the diseased people back to work. This is going to increase productivity and bring in revenue. Stem cell transplants can save money in a way that they'd stop people from having to spend money on medication. And an example would be one insulin prescription that's usually weekly would cost $36, and that goes to around $18,000 a year, and that could obviously be reduced by pancreatic stem cells. In conclusion, this speech has shown that stem cell research can go a long way in benefiting our society from multiple angles. The scientific benefits are obvious and obviously life-changing. The things that are going to go unnoticed are the economic benefits, though, and that could go a long way in lowering our healthcare debt and the amount of money we have to use for it. Individually, there's not much we can do to stem cell unless you really go into research or something like that. The two things we can do is start to donate money toward funding programs. Obviously, any amount will do, will help, no matter how small. Voting pro stem cell research for laws and policies has also helped. It's not just about scientific improvements, it's about helping our society in general. And those are my references. Thanks for listening to my topic on stem cell research. Go donate some money and or vote pro stem cell research.